All right, everybody, this will be a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024 part. We'll call it 134A, I believe. So anyway, continuing on what I was talking about related to Stairway, the song Stairway to Heaven, and what I think its meaning is and how that relates to the mission of the one who all religions look forward to, and that one I believe is Baha'u'llah, which means the glory of God, which you can find references to that in your Bibles and I'm sure in other religious texts. There's plenty of references within the Bible and the Quran about the violent, that God does not love aggressors, does not love those who kill for racism. There's references in the Bible about, will you destroy someone else's religion to exalt your own? And, the teachings of the Prophet said, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said to respect other religions, etc. But you can see both clearly in Christianity and within Islam, there were many who disregarded the instructions to leave other people's religions alone, even to the point of bloodshed and trying to erase those people off the face of the earth, etc. Many point to, the Old Testament stuff, God's got a war, and, they'll often quote, if God's with us, who can be against us? And they use that as reinforcement that, they are the champions of God and the only ones with a lock on the truth. You'll often hear Christians, say, well, Jesus is the only way, etc. Declaring, that's it. No, there's no other valid religion, which is wrong. He did say he's the way and the truth and everything, but you got to put a lot of things, what he said, into context and who he was talking to and why he was talking to them. Many things in many religions are taken out of context and out of reference, and etc. So that being said, the order of God, the mission of the prophets, and the purpose is to bring mankind to, I guess, what a lot of people who believe in aliens and stuff and travel to other worlds and all that, and say when we reach a class 1 civilization, we'll make contact where we're not killing each other and don't have weapons that can destroy the planet, and we evolve or grow or mature, however you want to put it, into beings with a higher sense of purpose and values, etc., etc., etc. Because for the most part, if you look around the world, other than technology, mankind has not advanced very much. Many areas of the world have in some degree maybe advanced in being more tolerant of other peoples and other cultures. But as far as you look at all the sins, if you will have, will have you, the nature and the violence of men towards each other, our understanding of things and stuff, I don't think we've evolved very much if you look at the condition around the world. You know, we're just more technologically advanced as far as our being and our spirits and stuff. I think we still have a lot to work on. Anyhow, self included. So when you talk about this order of God and stuff, the New World Order, the beast, and etc., 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 that system, whether you want to believe it's still in the future or if it had already come in the guise of Hitler or the Nazis or communism, what have you, is not the order or the system that Baha'u'llah talked about. There's a call for nations to work with each other, to decrease their military spendings, to decrease their wars of greed of trying to take each other's resources, to spend those monies on things that will better their societies and the world as a whole. There's a call for a world currency, and you often hear Christian preachers, one world currency. Now, is world currency a common script? Would do a lot to balance the scales around the world as far as poverty, etc., because there's a lot done in the trading. You can even see in your Bibles where it says, let's make the shekel great and the dinar small, things like that. Hocus pocus with the money. So there is need to work on making more equitable financial systems, etc. Now, I don't know if each country would also have, you would have this world currency, and each country would also have its own currency, just like with language. See, this nefarious system, I think, wants to homogenize us all, and have an elitist, socialist, or what they talk about as stakeholder capitalism system, and they're gonna give the masses all the entertainment they can handle and all the drugs and everything, and everyone it'll be like a feudal system. You'll have all the working peasants who, if you want to picture them all wearing the same type of uniform like you see in communist China and stuff like this, everyone walking around in the uniform type stuff, and only the elites will have gold and platinum tableware and fine clothes and be able to travel the world, and everyone else will supposed to be a happy little worker, only they're going to let you have your sports and everything else like that, and the athletes, they will have their perks, and the Hollywood people will still have their perks, and you will not ever be able to build a business on your own or succeed or anything, because they're going to dictate who gets to do what. So it's not like that, from what I have read and understood and what I've seen on YouTube, that nations are still allowed to have their culture, and their language and stuff, but there's supposed to be like a secondary language that we can all speak, so that we can all understand each other, a language that's easily translatable to every nation's cultural language. And to bring more unity to the world that way. Like I said before, an earlier one, it calls for unity, but that doesn't mean we have to swap spit with each other. And and I put it that way, meaning like I can still be me and you can still be you, no matter where you're from in the world. We're all cousins. Just treat each other with respect. It doesn't mean you get to come and into my country and tell me, hey, everything you've worked for we get to take away because we're going to make everything equitable, and I don't get to come to your country and take everything away from you, saying, well, I need that to be more what have you, or these other people do, etc. You know, there are a lot of third, or if you'd rather call them even fourth world countries out there. Well, you still use forms of slave labor, peasant labor, etc., etc. You know, who in each nation, I don't think you can force in to the system. You have to say, hey, you can partake or not partake, etc. I don't believe it should be, you know, like Hillary Clinton, you know, talking about Saudi Arabia, how, you know, they don't let their women drive, and these types of people who feel they have to go around the world and change other people's nations externally. It was like before the Iraq War, you know, oh, we're going to bring them democracy, this and that and everything. There's a lot of, you can't force changes onto people like that, and or turn their whole world upside down, or pull the rug out from underneath them, or demonize them because they are not exactly like you. Yes, you can try and talk to people and say, you know what, you know, maybe you should make it change this or change whatever in your nation to make it better for your people. Like Mexico, there's a lot of things Mexico needs to change to make it better for its people. And you know, somehow we still end up being the bad guys, which has a lot to do with this media stuff and everything going on, and these people on the left who want this dictatorship type rule to control everything, to take wealth from people, to make the world in their image. We'll use media and, you know, popular culture in there to demonize. You know, it's not going to be like you're going to have the Nazi stormtroopers around. You might have some of them. Hey, they ain't far from it now. You know, with Obama talking about his own army, and now you have all these groups who riot and loot in the streets and everything, that, hey, you're going to do it our way, or they're going to come after you, they're going to dox you, you're going to be, your employer's going to be pressured, they're going to boycott, this and that. And you have corporations who are step in toe with a lot of this, who will gladly go along with it because, you know, they're being made deals where they're going to, you know, be able to go global and expand their corporations and all this. All they got to do is toe the line of these people. So it's going to be very hard to fight because it's more of a mind F than an actual physical confrontation over ideologies. But it might come to a physical confrontation over ideologies when people have had enough. So I wanted to make that difference, that, you know, if it's the order that God has chosen, there's nothing to fear. When these other people want to foist on you homosexuality, parents can't have any say in the upbringing of their kids. They can't tell their kids if they're boys or girls. They want to tell you, you know, you're evil for being successful because you went and either worked hard or went to school, got a degree and worked hard, whatever, and built your own business and stuff, and that now you have to give up what you've worked for to raise other people up, etc., while they still live. You know, all these people saying this are not giving up their mansions in Beverly Hills and Malibu and every other place they live around the world. You will not see the social elites of the world give up their mansions and their castles and their yachts and everything else they have while they subjugate you into a life of mediocrity. So those of you who are going along with this plan, thinking they're going to create some great utopia, where you're going to be free to do whatever you want to be, name yourself whatever you want to name yourself, do all the drugs you want to do, etc., etc. You're going to have just as enough money as the next guy. You're never going to struggle for nothing. Everything's going to be free, etc., etc. You're off your rockers. It's not going to be that way. They're going to live the good life, and you're going to live a life of drudgery. So, I wanted to make that clear that you have to look at who's pushing what. The order of God is not going to be for drugs and abortion and homosexuality and all this other stuff and everything. Like, it's going to be for cleaner living, equality is in honesty, and etc. And you reap what you sow. If you work, you should benefit. And if you're some kind of con artist or some lazy person who thinks everybody owes them something and doesn't work, well, then you pay those consequences. So I wanted to clear some of that stuff up, because people, as soon as they hear something about a world order or anything, like, they have it so indoctrinated into them that, oh, there's only one thing that's supposed to rise like that, and it's going to be this one world religion, etc., etc., etc. That's not what maybe way in the future, something like that, people see. The Baha'i faith doesn't say go out and wipe out all these other religions. They say, here's the truth, that all religions have come from God, and here's the next step of it, the next education of man, the next elevation of man, if they'll take that step. The reason, here's sanity, here, this is the way to the will of God. You can come along and partake of that. You can still practice your religion, as long as you're not demonizing other people's religions, and you allow other people to be what they want to be. That's all fine and dandy. I have not seen or read anything from the Baha'i faith that says, oh, this is it, and we got to wipe everybody else out, or anything like that. That doesn't take people, like I said, you can't force things. You gotta all you can do is educate people and let them make decisions. So in that world order, it's like, Hindu nations still be Hindu nations. We just share in a common script, and then have a second language we can communicate in, etc. Same with Islamic or Christian nations. Just more peace and stability in the world and communication. And we will see eventually all people will see the truth in this, that all religions were given by God, and then that there is this next messenger, and maybe many, many, many more will gravitate to it. And then at some time way in the future, everybody will sort of be of the same religion. But I don't think there's any kind of call to go out and destroy other religions, just like there was no call by Jesus to go out and destroy other religions. There was no call by the Prophet Muhammad to go out and destroy other religions. The Quran itself says, the Christians, the Jews, the Sabians, the Magi, God forgive me if I'm forgetting others, but it names all these other religions. Those who do good works will receive their reward from their Lord. Now, many scholars over the years, well, yeah, that means the ones who convert to Islam. That's the good deed, is converting to Islam in the right manner would be a good deed, but I don't think that it's stating there necessarily that that is what is meant by that verse, that they have to convert, because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, never told anyone they had to convert. Many Christians have taken it out of context. Some very simple passages of the Quran, when the early Muslims were being attacked by others, the Prophet was told, go and offer them peace and offer them to come to your religion. And then it says, if they will not accept, and will not be at peace with you, then fight them. Now, in the way they word it and everything, they take it out of context, because even if they would just not attack and would live in peace with the Muslims, that was good enough. They take it as out of context and say, if they won't convert, kill them. Convert or die. No, that's not what he told people who came to attack them. He said, look, let's live in peace, and invited them to the religion. Now, whether or not they came to the religion, that was their choice, and that was not a point of contention or violence as far as the Prophet was concerned. If they converted and decided to live in peace with the Muslims, that was good. If they didn't convert and decided to live in peace with the Muslims, that was good also. So it's not convert or die. It's just, live in peace, quit attacking us. So there is no call in any religion to go out and kill people of other religions. Both Christianity, Islam, and I'm sure within the Hindu faith, the different sects in it, and even in some of the Buddhists, I haven't studied too much, but I'm sure there was probably militant, knowing mankind sections who did, for one reason or another, either in defense or under the guise of defense, tried to force their beliefs on others. I can't say that for sure. So if you're Buddhist and that never happened, I'm not trying, please don't be offended. I'm not trying to infer something that wasn't. I'm telling you, I'm not sure. I'm just the nature of mankind and looking at other religions, how they went astray. And, it's, as far as Christianity and Islam or even Judaism, you throw in there, one pointing the finger at the other and saying, you've done all these atrocities wrong and killed people. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. You understand? They've all done it, if we're going to be honest people. So, all that aside and everything, there's another kind of division that goes on here in America that is really getting old, and the pandering politicians will pander to any group, etc. And so on YouTube, I was going through some things, and I came across some of these radio shows, black radio shows, and some of them were talking about Obama and some of them were just talking about politicians in general, how they didn't do nothing for the black community, etc., etc. They all promise this and that, and they never do nothing, etc., etc., etc. And I say, they've signed an awful lot of bills and given an awful lot of money and done this and done that and put in this program and the quotas and the affirmative action and all kinds of things. And how do you say nothing has been done? The first argument I want to make, how do you say nothing has been done? What is it that you want done? How much is enough? Enough is enough. You don't have to go in the back doors of buildings no more. You can go to any hotel, not be told it's whites only. You can drink from a fountain, use the same public restrooms. You can vote, etc., etc., etc. down the line. How much is enough? What do you want? And why is it that whether they're white, black, brown, pink with polka dots, a politician can stand up and say, I'm going to do for my community, or this community, that community. I'm sorry, whites will say to do for another community. Whites will never stand up, politicians, and say, I'm going to do for white people. And why do these groups have no shame at all standing up saying, what are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for my people? Because if whites stood up and said that, or if white politicians pandered to whites and said, I'm going to do for you, I'm going to do for white people, there'd be cries and screams of racism all the time. But somehow it seems to be fair that blacks, Hispanics, homosexuals, whatever group there is, can demand, what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do for my people? And unless you pander to them as a politician, no matter what color you are, they're not going to support you, and they're going to call you racist or what have you. But even Donald Trump signed plenty of bills. There's always groups in the Oval Office getting their picture taken and things being signed and money being given away. How much is enough? I was listening to some of those black radio shows, like from Chicago and other places and stuff and everything, where people say, Obama didn't do nothing for us and blah. What did they expect? How much is enough? Obama didn't do anything for anybody except, I think maybe the homosexuals. And the Wall Street crowd and the insurance and the car companies bailing everybody out and stuff. I'm wondering, beings the politicians who need a majority of voters to vote for them to get into office only pander to blacks, Hispanics, homosexuals, what have you. Always say, I'm going to do for you, or the people say, what are you going to do for my people? And the politician answers them, naming specifically what they're going to do for that group and everything. I'm starting to come to believe that if you're white and you're straight in America, you are now in the minority. Because if the name of the game is to get the most votes, wouldn't you pander to the majority and not the minorities? See, and that's where people get lost now, because minority used to mean less in number. Now it just means people of color. You understand? And less capable. That's what it's come to mean. And if I was black or Latino or something like that, and somebody wanted to put me in a group called minorities, I'd tell them, get bent. I'll stand on my own. But anyhow, it has to make you wonder the condition here in America when pretty much all politicians will say, I'm going to do for this group or this ethnicity or what have you. But they will not dare. They will never, ever, you will never hear them utter the words, I am going to do for white heterosexuals, people who believe in God. You will never hear them utter those words. Not just, I didn't mean that to sound like only white people believe in God, but I'm throwing that in there too, people of faith. I'm going to do for white heterosexuals, and I'm going to do for people of faith. You will never hear those words in this country. I'm going to do for white people. It's perfectly okay for every other race to demand a politician says, I'm going to do for African Americans. I'm going to do for Latinos. I'm going to do for Asian Americans. I'm going to do for the Jewish community. I'm going to do for the homosexual community. But you will never hear them say, I am going to do for the white heterosexual community. Never. So you tell me what's fair anymore in America. And what's upside down. Anyway, I wish you all the best out there. God bless, and we'll see you on the next one. Adios.